There seems to be no end in sight to the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Aleppo. After nearly a month under siege, heavy fighting is still preventing aid from getting to those who need it most. British activist and aid worker Tauqir Sharif, known as Tox, left Britain for Syria nearly 4 years ago. Well, a few days ago, he managed to make his way into Aleppo in a convoy of old ambulances. Posting his efforts on his social media channel, live updates from Syria, like this footage showing the aftermath of an airstrike. I met Tauqir in Syria earlier this year and caught up with him today about the situation on the ground. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Start out, give me a sense of what the situation is like on the ground where you are.
The situation right now is dire, to say the least. I couldn't probably think of enough superlatives to describe the situation, to be honest. I mean, we are seeing massacres taking place daily. If we're talking about, first of all, primary aid and whether it's entering or not, this is one of the main difficulties that we're facing, is actually bringing aid in. Two of our vehicles were actually hit trying to bring in aid, and we can only bring in small vehicles carrying the maximum of about 2.5 tons. And Russian media has showed that they're targeting this road. So we also have the fact that everything here is very expensive. Then on top of that, the place is getting absolutely decimated. You know, I've been here for coming up to close to 4 years. I saw one of the worst attacks on children I've seen in my life. And we filmed it all, the children coming in, 6 or 7 children, all of them injured with shrapnel injuries. And, you know, devastating. It was a cluster bomb that hit their neighborhood. And today when we went back to the neighborhood, you know, the devastation that these cluster bombs cause, I can understand why they're illegal, because they don't hit a specific target. I mean, there's a whole heap of international war crimes that are taking place to a population that is, I don't even know. I'm amazed at how this population of people is coping.
How are they coping?
I mean, to be honest, it's mixed feelings. On one side, of course, they're being oppressed, and, you know, they're calling out for help from the international community. But at the same time, there's this extreme sense of hope.
What is the most pressing need? If you had to say what the most important thing is that is not getting in, what is it?
The most important need is not actually on the ground. The most important need is actually in the sky. We need a no-fly zone here in Syria, okay? It's not a war going on. You know, this is a very one-sided affair. And unfortunately, if we were to make some kind of comparison and say that the rebels, you know, they're doing whatever they're doing and committing war crimes and whatever they're doing, and the resistance that they're trying to uphold, the problem is that the brunt of the Syrian regime's force is women and children and civilians that are facing the wrath. You know, day in, day out, we see 60 to 70% of the injuries that come into our hospitals are actually women and children. And this is what's so devastating about it. I mean, after that, we can speak about aid. You know, when you speak, we filmed a powerful piece with one of the doctors here. All he's saying is, we don't want your medical aid from the international community. We don't want your money. We don't want even aid from the United Nations. Just give us a no-fly zone. Just stop these airplanes and allow us to have the right to self-determination. We want to decide our own future, but all we want is a stop to these planes and this bombing.
Where does the majority of the aid that you're distributing come from?
The majority of our aid comes from smaller charities, which are independent charities. It's basically donations from everyday, ordinary people that feel for the Syrian cause. That's basically where our money comes from. It doesn't come from any of the bigger relief organizations, for example, the United Nations. I've heard that they've been saying that they're trying to get aid into Aleppo, but they can't find a safe passage. I mean, this is, in a sense, what sets us apart, is that we're willing to go to them risks, or to take them risks, to make sure we deliver this aid to the people.
A lot of people watching this will be wanting to know, why did you leave your home in the UK to go to Syria, and what kind of a Syria do you want to see in the future?
The reason why I left the UK is because it was just something that I believe that in this day and age of social media, where all of these images are coming out, you know, The West was very quick to say, look, never again when it came to Srebrenica and the massacres that took place in Bosnia. But I feel that we can't be saying the same again about what's going on here in Syria, especially in a day and age where all of these pictures are coming out. It was different before. Nowadays, if we stand by and watch this massacre take place, we are complicit to the crime. So that's why I came. I'm here to support the Syrian people. Whatever they see fit as their future, I believe that, look, we've been taught in the West of the right to self-determination. If the Syrian people want a solution, they should be the ones who decide, what their future should be.
Tauqir Sharif, thank you very much for being on the program.
Take care. Thank you very much for having me.